A week today, the tragedy of Paris happened. Totally unexpected, as things often are. The terrorists will attack when we least expect. The terrorists will attack when we are diverted. The terrorists will attack, maybe having lied low for months upon months, and then they will emerge. But whatever the tactic, whatever the reason, it has happened. In a post on a blog about 2 or 3 months ago, I outlined how we lived in such a dangerous and uncertain world. And when I reflect back on life, the danger has been increasing at a rate, certainly since the 90s, at an unexpected rate. Now, people don't like linking what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan and Libya with what is happening now. But there is a link. Whether it is the total cause is open to debate. But there is a clear link between what George W. Bush started in the 90s and where we are today. And we've ended up, where are we today? With 500 odd terrorist groups. Over 500. About 30 new groups emerged in the last year. And they operate in 67 countries. In the last year, some 40,000 people have been killed. And the biggest killers, not often getting much publicity, is Boko Haram. Boko Haram in Nigeria has killed more than ISIL has done in Syria and Iraq. So the Taliban are the third, Boko Haram, ISIL, and Taliban, and then there are 2 or 3 other groups that account for the 40,000 deaths. Now, in the melee and the tragedy and the upset that what has happened in Paris has caused, we're now having all sorts of theories that it is the refugees that have caused this, the migrants, we've allowed too many in, and there is a danger that some of them might be terrorists. That's certainly true. But up until now, apart from 1 or 2, in Paris and in other parts of the world, it has been homegrown Muslims that have been responsible for these things. As last weekend, it was French and Belgian people, not people from Syria and Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya. But that is not the image that some of the papers wish to convey, especially the right-wing papers. And of course, you can imagine what Farage and UKIP is going to make of all this. They won't discuss the issue. They won't discuss what needs to be done. They won't discuss how we're going to tackle and solve this problem. Oh, no, no, no. They will go on the migrants route because they are only interested in causing unhappiness and uncertainty and raising suspicion in people. So the big debate now is, shall we join the bombing or not? Well, is it really going to make a difference that 4 UK aircraft, 4, are going to join the hundreds that are already there in Syria? You know what I mean? There are about 20 countries at the moment have been involved in the bombing of Libya, Iraq and Syria, trying to deal with ISIS. 20 countries. And recently Russia has joined in as well. So you have the might of America and Russia with probably dozens upon dozens upon dozens of aircraft. You have another 17 countries with them. And I read somewhere, in the last year, there's been some 1,600 bombings of Syria and Iraq. Has it stopped the violence? Has it stopped the terror? The answer is clearly not. Because as I said earlier, the number of terrorist groups are on the increase. See, our thought has always been, the last 20, 30 years, if there's a problem, let's bomb our way out of it. If the bombing doesn't work, what's the next step? Well, let's bomb more. Let's bomb far more. It's time for diplomacy. Britain's 4 aircraft are not going to make a military difference whatsoever to joining with the others. It might give Cameron a bit of status. It might satisfy a lot of people in Britain that we are joining the global force. But the contribution militarily is minimal. Where Britain is at its best is on international diplomacy. And that has been throughout the decades. And if I was Mr. Cameron, and if I was involved in advising anybody, it's not sending aircraft to add on to the Syrian and the Iraqi and the Afghanistan and the Libyan problem that we should be considering, but a more diplomatic approach, bringing countries together. Iran, Turkey, Russia, Saudi Arabia, the main players in that part of the world. Bring them together, because it's only through talking, it's only through negotiation and discussion that this will end. It's a little known fact. I used to own an Indian restaurant and in Gwynoro for about 6-7 years. So I had people from Pakistan, Bangladesh, India working there. They'd been in this country for many, many years. And I was often talking to them about Islam and the Muslim world and the violence and the terrorism. And they were as much opposed to the terrorism as anyone else. But one of them used to tell me, and he was a wise man, he'd been in Wales and he'd lived in Swansea probably, I reckon, since the 1960s. And what he used to say is, look, these people will never forget. If it takes 100 years, they will have their revenge. They will lie low. So bombing gets us nowhere. It's sorting this out through diplomatic means is the only way forward for Britain. So if I had a vote in the House of Commons, if I was there, I would certainly not be voting for bombing Syria. Having explained what my views are on the bombing of Syria, at the end of the day, there is nothing more important at the moment than for all of us to think of what happened in Paris, to not just condolences, but support to the people. And there has been a lot of support to them, because it's a terrible time. It's a terrible time to be going out and enjoying yourself, thinking you're safe, having a nice meal, or in a concert as many were, young people enjoying a Friday night. And then this massive tragedy happened. Our thoughts are with them, and it'll take them a long time. There is no doubt that many, many, many of those families will never recover. And we've all got to think of issues like that as well when we're in the middle of this horrendous crisis that is now a global problem. Once again, thank you for joining me and listening to this video or watching this video. Hope you join me next time. There'll be quite a few to follow as the weeks go on. So bye-bye for now.